What is going on, everybody? My name is Dakota, and welcome back to Kota's Cologne. Today, we're going to be looking at fragrances that can make you smell good this summer for cheap. Today is going to be all about the fragrances that are going to be less than $50 and make you smell good this summer. So without further ado, let's get into it. We're going to be kicking this list off with the only kind of cologne on the list, and by far it's going to be the cheapest. It's going to be from Armoff. It's going to be Très Nuit pour Homme. This fragrance, honestly, for what it is, smells absolutely amazing. It's not overly synthetic. You get a little bit of floralness. You get some citrus. Now, it is going to be very, very similar to Green Irish Tweed by Creed. Now, is it a one-to-one clone? No. Is it extremely close to where you could probably layer them on each other? Absolutely. But without doing that, this fragrance will stand on its own 2 feet. Honestly, for how cheap this is, for the quality that you get, for everything that kind of goes into this will probably be one of the better bang for the buck fragrances on the entire list. Now, that's as far as scent quality goes. Now, presentation and bottle quality is, in my opinion, absolute trash. This thing does not spray good. I don't have the smallest hands, but I have no good way to kind of put this on. The way that I've kind of done it the most is I have to turn the bottle sideways like this and then spray it up like that. But that's more so kind of nitpicking the bottle. What we're here for is the scent. So as far as the scent goes, like I said, you get a good dose of floral, you get some powderiness, you get a little bit of an iris. When it dries down, it's a little bit of a woody note. This one is not real big on the citruses. It does feel a little bit green. It can be very light, but the biggest thing you're going to get is going to be an overwhelming floral powderiness, and I absolutely love that about this fragrance. I am a very big fan of Creed's Green Irish Tweed, but as far as all Creeds go, some of those fragrances can be overwhelmingly expensive. Normally, I'm not real big for pushing kind of clone-y fragrances, but when they do this good, when they smell this good, when they smell this natural, there is some that are going to be exceptions, and this one is one. And again, that is going to be Armoff Très Nuit. Alrighty, so next up on the list, because you can't have one of these lists without one of these fragrances, is going to be Ressassy's Hawas Ice. Now, I went with Hawas Ice this time because it's kind of a toss-up between a few of the Hawas fragrances. As far as pure summer goes, I do like Ice just a little bit more because it gives you a little bit of fruitiness with a bold citrus that comes all the way across the top. Now, when it dries down, it does get a little bit more woody. But again, we're looking at fragrances that are going to be less than $50. But for the most part, everything about this fragrance is going to be very linear. It is going to be more of the simple. The only drawback to this fragrance is not going to be the profile. It's going to be that this fragrance can smell a little bit synthetic. And honestly, one thing that may be a drawback, especially in the summer months, is the performance. The performance on almost every Hawas fragrance is so big, it's so loud, that it can lead to being cloying, it can lead to being headaches. There's virtually no change from the opening spray all the way into the dry down. And a lot of times with an overwhelming fragrance, you can kind of burn yourself out on it a little bit. At times that could lead to cloyingness. That could lead to a little bit of just kind of being done with the fragrance halfway through the day. That's kind of why, for me personally, when I prefer summer fragrances, I almost prefer them to be not bad performers, but I do prefer a good scent profile, but being a slightly weaker fragrance, as odd as that may sound, because I kind of like being able to kind of reapply and refresh my fragrances in the summer, especially in Oklahoma. In mid-August, it's going to be 110 degrees. The humidity is going to be through the roof. And I kind of want a fragrance that is going to be light. It's going to be refreshing. For these Hawas fragrances, sometimes it's really hard to do that. This is more of like an early summer fragrance for me, but nonetheless, we still have to put this one on the list. And that's going to be Ressassy's Hawas Ice. Alrighty, so third up on the list, and honestly, this one may be the most controversial on the list, you could say. And for me, it's going to be Azzaro Wanted Tonic. So when this fragrance first came out, this thing was unanimously hated. And honestly, when it first came out, I would have hated it too. The reason this one is going to be on the list now is because you can find this fragrance for $30, $40 maybe, pretty much anywhere. And that is why this one is going to be on the list. Because when you look at the overall scent quality and scent profile of this, it's very good. It's a little bit woody. It's very much a citrusy lime kind of fragrance. It doesn't follow the traditional mandarin or lemon. This one uses a very big lime note. It's also going to be a patchouli base, so it's going to have a little bit more of a green note to it. And that green mixed with the lime, honestly, to me, turned into a pretty good fragrance. Now, here's the kicker to this fragrance. If you went to the store right now and paid $110 for this, it's not going to be worth it. I'll just call it what it is. This is not a $110 fragrance. When this fragrance was released, it kind of hit people in the wallet pretty hard because Azzaro, for the most part, has always had very good releases. They don't really have like a bad wanted fragrance, I don't think. This one would probably be pulling up on the tail end if we're being honest. But for a summer fragrance for $30, for it being patchouli and lime, honestly, it smells really good, especially coming back to it's a $30 fragrance. And honestly, when we're looking at some of these summer fragrances, that has to go into the discussion is the price to the fragrance. $110, not worth it at all. $30 to $35, absolutely worth it because it does smell good. It just doesn't smell $110 Azzaro wanted good, unfortunately. So for me, I still really enjoy this fragrance. I like that it's a change of pace, especially for a summer fragrance, because the way that lime comes across, it's a little bitter, it's a little sharp, it's got a tanginess to it. And honestly, it's just a nice change of pace, especially when it is very hot, because it doesn't have your generic dry down to a citrus and wood. It stays a little bit more green than that. That lime kind of gives it a bitterness. And honestly, the overall wrap up of it just turns out to be very good. So this is one that I really feel like got slept on, especially as the price has plummeted on this. That's why for me during the summer, this is kind of an easy reach because I know this can be replaced so easily. But again, that is going to be Azzaro Wanted Tonic. Alrighty, so next up on the list, kind of staying in that forward citrus motion, is going to be Mont Blanc Explorer. So this fragrance, as everybody knows, is eerily similar to Creed of Venice. I didn't actually mean to put two Creed-ish smelling fragrances on this list. As I'm talking through it now, I kind of just realized I did. This fragrance still, for being in a Venice, we'll call it heavily inspired by a Venice, smells very good. Now, obviously, it's not a one-to-one. There is going to be some differences here. This one, to me, a little bit more smoky, a little bit heavier on the citrus, or at least on my skin, it tends to hold on just a little bit more. And for me, this one's a little bit lighter. This one doesn't have some of the overwhelming dominance that some of the Venice fragrances can have, especially if you're one who really loves the old batches of it. But if we're going to be talking about just kind of staple summer fragrances for the cheap, it's going to be really hard not to wear this one. Now, a lot of people are going to talk about Club being on the list, and honestly, for me, Club has a little bit too much performance. This one is a little bit softer, this one's a little bit lighter, and with a little bit of touch of that extra citrusness that you kind of get off this, I kind of feel like this does lean to be a little bit more of a better summer fragrance than that one. And honestly, the Creed DNA is going to smell absolutely amazing. This one's going to have a massive pill vibe to it. And again, just like every other fragrance on this list, the price of this one is going to be rock star. You could pick this up all day for $30 to $40, especially if you get a tester. I think this one, I can't remember if this was a tester or not, but I want to say I got this for 33 bucks or something like that. And for the profile that you get, for honestly the quality that you get, because the quality that goes into this fragrance is going to be very good. When you get a good natural smelling fragrance that dries down into a citrusy smoked kind of fragrance that has undertones of other florals and some wood and other stuff like that, it is going to smell very good. And that's why for me personally, I do lean on this one a little more than Club de Nuit. If I'm being honest, I don't even have that fragrance. When I did get it, I was going to kind of do a head-to-head, and honestly, I liked this one more. So that's why for me, this one was an easier reach. Club has since left the building. But yeah, for me, on my money, if I want something that's going to smell like that of Venice and have that DNA, I'm going to be reaching for this one. And again, that is going to be Mont Blanc Explorer. All right, so next up on the list, staying in the house of Mont Blanc, is going to be Mont Blanc Legend Spirit. This, honestly, is a fragrance that I don't really reach for that often. It's not that I don't like it, it's just one that I almost kind of forget it's there. But whenever I do wear it, I genuinely enjoy it, and then I always end up asking myself why I don't wear it just a little bit more. So on this one is going to be just a little bit more sweeter than some of the other stuff on this list, but this is still going to have a wonderful dose of some citrusy fragrances. It's going to have a nice tone of floral fragrances as well. And as everybody knows, this one does feel similar to the original Invictus, which that one was also kind of an aqua style fragrance as well. Like I said, this one being a little bit more citrusy, this one being a little bit more tame on the senses. It doesn't kind of hit the nose as hard. So moving in that direction, this one to me just feels a little bit lighter and maybe a little bit more complete, if I'm being honest. I think I actually did prefer this one over the original, especially when you start weighing like dollar per value, because this is another one, I think $32 or $33 all day picked up, especially if you get a tester. And a lot of these fragrances, I do recommend getting a tester. The reason being is if you're someone who doesn't care about full presentation, if you're someone who doesn't always have to have a cap and the bottle looks like this, that's completely fine. Because if you're just someone who wants to smell very good and you don't want to spend the extra money, go ahead and get a tester. The juice is the same, despite what some people have said. the juice on the inside of these testers are all still the same. But getting back to the fragrance on this one, I think part of the reason that I do prefer this one just a little bit more compared to some of the other ones is this one has a little bit of like a spicy bite to it. This one has just enough going into it to where it kind of gives it a little bit more of an edginess, and it gives it just a little bit more of something extra. Now, for the most part, the profile is going to be similar. It is going to draw down to a very light kind of marine citrus type of fragrance with small woody undertones in the background. That's how most of these are going to be. But honestly, most of these fragrances, especially in the summer markets, are going to be your more mass appealing fragrances. They are going to share a lot of similar DNAs. This one does share similar to a few, but it's just standoutish enough to where it should be an easy reach. And honestly, a lot of the Mont Blanc fragrances that I have, most of them smell really good. I don't really think Mont Blanc's ever really put out that bad of a fragrance ever. Some of them are inspired by other fragrances, but honestly, for the price point that you can get pretty much the whole line, I'm pretty sure you can buy the entire Legend line for less than 125, less than 150-ish bucks, give or take. And every single one of them have been very good. But yeah, so those are a bunch of the reasons why, if you want a good summer cheapie, I highly recommend looking at this one. And again, that is going to be Mont Blanc Legend Spirit. All right, so next up on the list is actually going to be a fragrance that I don't have a bottle of yet. There is one coming on the way. It's going to be a fragrance that I got from a fellow YouTuber, and it came in this little sample right here. This is going to be Lacoste Blanc Eau Fraiche. This fragrance, I was a little 50-50 about it when I first saw it, and me and the gentleman talked about it, and it smelled very good. I was kind of blown away by how much I did like it for how light this fragrance is. This is going to be another one of those citrus-based fragrances that is going to be very, very soft. It's going to have little undertones of woody. It's going to have a little bit of floralness to it. It is going to have a few extra things that aren't really going to set it apart, but it's going to make it feel like a very, very complete fragrance. But it's going to make it feel like a very complete fragrance. And honestly, one of the more complete fragrances on the list, giving how kind of light citrusy the fragrance is. Now, the reason I bring up some of the citrusy notes on this one, when I released my Citrus Lovers video, I actually meant to put this one on it, but because I didn't have the bottle, I completely forgot to grab it. Or at the end of the video, I was kind of giggling because I kept thinking like I feel like I'm missing one, and I had this laid out and completely overlooked it. So that's why it's going to go ahead and shine its way into this video, because on top of being a Citrus Lovers fragrance, on top of being incredibly light, this is another one of those where you can get 100 ml tester sub $40. I just bought mine off of Joma, I think 2 days ago, 33 bucks. Absolute banger of a deal for the fragrance that you get, for the quality that you get, for how natural it is. That's going to be the biggest thing about all the fragrances that we're going over today, is they're going to smell so good. Most of them, I do like more natural smelling fragrances, so they are going to be more natural. And the most important thing, as I've said 10 times already, less than $50, so you can smell absolutely amazing this summer. But I don't have a bottle, but again, that is going to be Lacoste Blanc Eau Fraiche. I'll probably do a full review on this one when I get the bottle in. That way I can go over everything, so keep a lookout for this one as well. Alrighty, so next up is going to be Coach Black. When I did my citrus video, I said that you could very easily substitute it for Coach Black, because to me, on my skin, Coach Black to me gives me a little bit of a soapy vibe. Not like linen necessarily, but like it's going to be a little more green than Coach Blue. This one's going to be a little bit more woody on the dry down. This one's going to be a little more floral, but also this one's going to be a little warmer on the dry down as well. This is going to be one of the more warmer summer fragrances that we're going to talk about today, because this one does have a nice dose of amber in the base. And it's just warm enough that on a hot day, it's not going to be cloying. It's not going to be annoying, most importantly. And, you know, kind of falling in the realm of this Coach EDT, it's going to be one that you're going to get 5 or 6 hours out of. As we've touched on already, summer fragrances, that's kind of what you want out of them. You kind of want to be able to refresh them a little bit, because that's what's going to give you kind of the all-day experience that you're going to have, and you can switch fragrances halfway through the day. And the beauty of that is, given a lot of the value of these fragrances, you can spray as heavy as you want. Every single one of the fragrances that we've talked about today has been on the mass appeal side. This one, very much so. This one may be one of the more mass appealing ones on here. Coach Black to me is one of those that could very easily be a staple in a fragrance. If you want a daytime fragrance, a nighttime fragrance, almost all year round. Now, when it's bitter cold, I really wouldn't recommend reaching for this one. This fragrance will cover almost every base you could possibly have. But for how good this fragrance smells, for the price point that this thing has, it's an absolute easy reach. And like I said, the base of this, where it truly dries down, is almost where this thing wants to shine. But this has a beautiful warmth to it that is going to also work well with heat. You're not going to get blown out by it. And honestly, for a summer fragrance, this would be a good change of pace. This will kind of push you away from some of the raw soapy fragrance, from some of the clean linen fragrances, and some of the citry fragrances. This one will kind of push you into a slightly different direction, because in the base of this, mixed with some of that amber, is going to be a little bit of that vetiver. Now, this one is going to smell more common in the dry down, but the blend of this will make it stay light enough that's why it's going to be an easy reach for the summer. But yeah, that's going to be Coach Black. Alrighty, and last up on the list, arguably is probably my favorite cheapie, and that is going to be Versace's Man Eau Fresh. This fragrance, for what it is, to me, is the easiest cheapie reach that I may have in my entire collection. There's something about this fragrance that just smells incredibly good. There's something also about this fragrance that's going to make it smell just a little bit different than the ones you're used to, because this one, for being very aromatic, it's very fresh. It's going to have a little bit of a muskiness that leans a little bit toward like a linen kind of vibe. But the twist on this one uses carambola, which will give it a tropical vibe that's going to be very fruity, but it's not going to be your typical kind of tropical feel. It's not going to be a coconut. It's not going to be fig. It's not going to be salty or anything like that. But what this does is it gives it a nice little twist to me that pairs with something on the base of this, which is going to be the saffron. So the way this thing comes across on my skin, you do get a good dose of citrus notes. But for me, the thing that tends to last all day for me is this has a nice little fruitiness. It's got a nice floralness. And as we've talked about, this is going to have a little bit of a woodiness in the base of this. Now, this fragrance, for being a little more different than some of the other ones on the list, also is going to be one of the weaker ones on the list, unfortunately. But if we're looking at just overall profile, this thing is absolutely amazing. This, I don't even know, is an eau de toilette concentration. The Versace Man Eau Fresh, I'm pretty sure Eau Fresh is the concentrate as well as everything else. So honestly, I only get 3 or 4 hours out of this fragrance, but for when I'm going to reach for this fragrance, that is completely fine, because for me, this fragrance is reserved for, oh, my light went out. That's not good. Well, guess what? This is what we're stuck with now. So for me, when this fragrance is reserved, it's going to be more so for the hottest of summer days. And honestly, it's going to be kind of a lounge around fragrance too. So when it's blazing hot outside and I'm being a couch potato trying to soak up as much AC as I can, this is going to be one of the fragrances that will help me through days like that, because part of this fragrance is it almost has a relaxingness to it. You get such a light, watery fragrance that just, to me, it kind of reminds me of Florida. Like it reminds me of something that's going to be relaxing, that's going to be tropical, that is just going to be a good time, essentially. And on top of that, my wife absolutely loves this, because this will check almost every box. When you first spray it, it's a little bit soapy. As it dries down, it gets a little bit fruity. Some of the tropical feel comes through. Some of the wood notes come out while staying absolutely light all the way through it. If you're someone who likes a citrus fragrance, this will touch that. If you're someone who likes clean, a little bit of soap, it'll got you covered there. If you're someone who likes the other direction that can pick out tropical notes, it's got you covered there. So for me, this is kind of my jack of all trade fragrance, especially in the summer. So that's why this thing is just an absolute easy reach for me. And the best part about this fragrance is, on this list, this is also going to be one of the more cheaper ones on the fragrance, because I want to say this one is in the $20 range compared to the majority of them being in the $30 range. But again, that is going to be Versace's Man Eau Fresh. All right, ladies and gents, that is going to wrap up the list. I'm going to go ahead and apologize now for the long video. That was a tremendous amount of yapping. Hopefully y'all enjoyed it. Hopefully y'all don't mind some of these videos just being a little bit longer. I'm trying to incorporate more fragrances and kind of giving in detailed views of how I kind of build some of my lists and how I kind of build some of the fragrances that I like to use throughout my time. If this is something y'all are into, by all means, leave me a comment, give me some feedback. I'll be happy to hear it. Sorry, my ring light went out, so now I've got to figure out if my ring light burned up. But that is going to get us wrapped up for today. As always, thank you everyone for watching. Thank you everyone for subscribing, for sticking around, staying tuned, listen me yap about how stuff smells. I truly appreciate it, and we will see you next time. Oh my God, that might be the longest video I've ever done, and that was a lot of talking.